Hey, let's get things set up. Sideways. I don't like landscape, but you guys like it, so here we are. Happy New Year. Happy prosperous 2018 to all of you. Yes, it's the 1st of January 2018. This is going to be quite a big one, guys, so we have paperwork. Jesus Jones, good afternoon. Happy New Year to you, brother or sister. I'm not sure if you're male or female, sorry. We've got a lot to cover. Thank you for joining. I suggest you take the opportunity to get a large drink, some paper and a pen. It's going to be epic, all right? We've got, if you're hungover, I'm going to go slowly, so don't worry about that. I will be gentle with you as it's the first day. Who we got in the house? Jesus Jones, Docker Dawson, Andy Sov. Look at that, Andy Sov, you've been beaten by Jesus. Jesus was the first in the house. No comments. We're going to cover Roman Catholic. We're going to cover common law. We're going to cover a lot of stuff here, people. If you want to download this video, you have the permission to do so. I've had to come live on YouTube and broadcast on here because if I go into Sovereign Paralegals on Facebook and I do this, then I do not have the agreement, the consent to share from that domain into the public, YouTube, Google area that we're in now. So I've invited people from SPLs and various Facebook members to come across. Danny Knight is a really good, useful Facebook member that I've come across. David Russell, I'm going to give you some information from this guy with regards to his person's publications and what he's done. He's an admin in SPL, so this is all information that's already been primarily put into the public. There has been, release of information via our admins, via our, established members, and this is this is what you guys want. We need a claim of right. Yes, we need. Everybody needs to know what a claim of right is. Initially, ideally, in an ideal world. So we have at the back of these papers a claim of right that I've taken, that's been put into SPLs by one of our admins. Neither it's been put into the public domain, so we're going to read this out later. You're going to find out what a claim of right is, what your claim of right is. Or am I? Let me think. No, that's about being a person. I think claim of right's going to come after. Yeah, after this video I'll do the claim of right because it'll be too much. But we're going to lead up to that. Everybody, every man has a claim of right, so it's a birthright, isn't it? So you're going to understand, comprehend and cognise what this is, how to do one, who to serve it to. But before you do that, we need to go through a significant amount of complex information. I've seen a post today on Facebook domain by a man called Ken Dost. Quite an aggressive statement. He normally has a go at people. You'll find that I'm not hostile with you guys. I don't insult your lack of knowledge. I don't insult the fact that you're new to this. I don't insult the fact that it's very confusing and that we make mistakes and we interpret words wrong. So for Ken Dost and the statement saying about the funds and the accounts of which we need to be in control of and we need to be dissolving or addressing the situations. He's just been on about Fargo accounts. Previous to that, he was on about Treasury Direct accounts and routing numbers. Before anybody like myself included and the team in SPLs or any of the channel's researchers, Matthew in Sheffield and the other ones that you haven't met, but we don't just take information and then say, oh, that must be right because this man's been doing it ages or this lady's been speaking ages, and so we'll run with that and we'll take it and we'll go with it. Because if you just stop and think what's being proposed, if you do not cognise the language, the structure, the format, the implied meanings, definitions of the words, what you are doing, if you can't stand on it, stand under it, know in your heart, and have belief, then we don't do it. We will research, we will analyse, we will reference, cross-reference and things like that before we will consider, acting on it. But we will discuss that as a family and as a private sovereign community. So the P.S.C abbreviation is going into 2018. We'd like to consider who we are, what status and what capacity we're in. That's going to come into all this as well. So if you haven't already got a big drink, some paper and a pen, then go and get some. So yeah, understanding your status and your capacity, how to manage that, and who you are, when you are, what you are. I've just seen comments on Facebook about people saying that nobody learns. It's not that nobody learns, it's just that there's a lot to learn. And where do you start learning? You start learning at the beginning, which is the history. Once you've got the history, you look at the language and the phonetics and the structure of the laws, and then you look at when the laws were made, who they were made by, who they're governable to, what the statutes are. Look at the history of the planet, the history of the globe that we're on, or the flat plane of existence. What we know history-wise and what we've been taught academically through the avenues of indoctrination and schooling is not what is out there in the public domain to find out about the Earth's history. So it does get spiritual. The church is involved, unfortunately. It's not us pointing fingers. This is the evidence and this is the fact. The monarchy, the banks, and the banks, the monarchy and the church are all involved in this cap in hand. There are agreements that have been made. So the agreement we have in sovereign paralegals is that we are a private domain, and we are a community, a common unity, and we are there for one another. There are trustees in the group, which are the administrators and moderators. There are beneficiaries in the group, which are the members as such, and the new members that arrive, beneficiaries to be. So we do have a trust relationship, and we are exploring the various trust and equity domains, rules, processes. We haven't got this down as 100%. This is an ongoing mission of continuous improvement. So I understand that there are people out there, men out there, should I say, that know a lot more than what we do at present, and they are sometimes getting frustrated with how slow we are at picking up the pace or defining things such as this, bringing out publications, revisions, remedies, videos and things. So to the people that have done this and have done a claim of right and are operating in the private and are not subject to the mandated statutes, legislation upon the persons and wearing the mask and the association with, then that's great. Thank you for all the advice and help you've given us. We have a way of moving forward, which is a processed way, a logical way, a systematic way, and it works. It is very slow. When people come and provide proof to us in the form of winnings and remedies without going to court, we will sit up and listen. We have provided some of those in the form of the seminars and putting you in contact with the people that we are getting the course content from with regards to the equity and trust. Yeah, so you're all up to speed with that. We're going to get going and give everybody a chance. So there is a difference between appearing and attending. A transition happens from a private person attending court to becoming the liable artificial person. We do advocate not going to court and sorting stuff out in the private. We never advocate for you to go to court, and we never give you legal advice. This is only information. It is not legal advice. It is for study and reference purposes. If you do want the services of a legal advisor, then you know to go to the the registered licensed Temple BAR society. So this is when some people have to go to court. Some men are required to attend and appear, and when you are going to do that, this is where we're at after the 2 years worth of study, research, comparison, contrasting it, watching the videos. We've got a member that's in SPLs. I'll reserve his privacy, but he spoke to me this morning at 1 o'clock. He's got a Road Traffic Management Act challenge upon his person. He's going to go to court and challenge it. It's his own free will. I've told him the dangers and the hazards. He's in SPLs. His date is for the 1st or 2nd week in January. We are going to have great fun with this because he knows the risks. He knows his capacity. He knows his status, and he's willing to go and play a game and have fun. So in that context, the man is duly advised. The man knows all the pitfalls and the problems, and that he could have willingly paid this and contracted and settled it for the nominal amount of 35, 70, 120 credits, pounds. So he hasn't done that, and he's stuck fast because he believes he's in the right, and we'll see what happens. But going forward, that little disclaimer needs to be said when we give information such as this out. The style, name and status are imperative. Complain that your rights are violated and duress is at hand. We also have a writ of habeas corpus available. You need to look at habeas corpus and a writ and how you would manage and do that. Person, man, human being, natural person and private person have all been used in various acts in different contexts for different reasons. Be careful when using legal words of art when dealing with magistrates. The common law now only exists in a relatively few areas of the world. We are surrounded and invaded by Roman civil law. We are on the brink of losing access to common law. Stand strong, hold firm, at common law to claim and protect your property. Consider if any public servants are actually lawfully holding office now, public office. We've talked about public office and the benefits of public office and resignation from public office, as you would be possibly interpreted as the agent in office with two legal persons that you are managing. So we are not them. Just bear that in mind when you're looking at cases such as Grenfell or Theresa May's second in command with the Conservative Party and him resigning from the public office to sidestep the public liability claims. Stand strong. No, we've done that. Present day de facto governments, David Russell, there we go. Correct terminology there. Only presume their claim to authority and are nothing but corporations taxing and stealing from the people. Consent of the governed delegates your authority to government, but are the delegated offices really lawfully occupied, legal and lawful? We've explored the definitions and the meanings and what these realms are. So they can never take away your power, but you can give your power away, if you see what I mean. Comments, if you want to comment as I'm speaking, then what we'll do, put the minutes of the comment, and we will go back and look at this, all right? So I'm on page 1 at the minute. If you've got anything to say, we'll look at the comments afterwards, but I'm not going to ramble. I'm not going to get distracted with all that. We'll look at that afterwards. So you'll have to hold on. Like I say, make your notes. Consent of the governed delegates your authority to government, but are the delegated offices really lawfully occupied? Through legal tricks, traps, lies, deceit, they pretend, assume they have your consent. Look at the presumptions of law. Through colour of law, they pretend, presume they have authority. People, men, need to reclaim their personal authority and property, ownership, inhabit the lawful public offices, or remain slaves to corporised legal fiction. World, which is pretending to have the authority to make and enforce offences. Which is pretending to have the authority to make and enforce offences. No, we're not having that. Ownership equals jurisdiction to make and enforce laws. Derives from contract, informed consent, agreement and valuable consideration related to any property. At law, everything is property, even your rights. Yes, they are. So if your rights are abused, we say that your property is abused. If your property is abused, then that relates to trespass claims, and we escalate it up. So how do they claim ownership or get you to consent to this admiralty or their whatever imposed jurisdiction? Then we have the word juris dash diction equals law to speak / pronounce, i.e. the right to make laws. The courts operate in the fiction, as well you know. We know about the courts under 2000 and such and insolvency, but just the courts operate in the fiction. And if you do not go in there as one, they will not recognise you. That's us no longer going in there. I'm the man, I'm not that name, fighting with the robe, things like that. This is a massive turnaround and a massive... not a turnaround, but a poignant point to pause and decide how you want to conduct yourself when you're going into the, you know, the de facto courts. You're not going there to take down the whole system. You're going there to deal with one issue that's there, and you're going to deal with it in a correct fashion and without coming off worse for wear, failing. See previous videos for that. Two things to mention. One, person is not always a bad thing. Two, the existence in law as a private person. The hidden power of a private person status, an overview and introduction. Please forgive the use of man used for reference for man and or woman. Let's not start to argue over any words right now. See the principal idea of the word. Words mean what we intend agree them to mean. The basic premise. The common law protects you already. It has not gone, and it is recognised as it is the foundation of law. I hear a big cheer there. The nation roars. I should have put my Star Wars video music on for this. Sorry guys. Next one. Imperial Death March. The system, Matrix, will play games and try to trick you into thinking common law does not exist. They have created a parallel world, a second reality, which they invite us to come into, invitation, court summons, and manipulate us into taking on the name, date of birth and liability, as mentioned previously earlier. The foundation is sound, but has been taken over, covered up and hidden from sight, like the CPR merger, 7 and 8. A duplicate mirror world of law exists. We need to know why and how you really are the power when in honour. That's page 1 done. Wow. We need to now start to hold these, start to begin to hold those manipulating the law to account for their manipulations. There needs to be accountability. It is coming slowly, and we are seeing that when we start to point it out, they on occasion hold themselves to account. Private person is the high status that you want to consider reclaiming. My goal here, or our goal here, as a channel, group, family, those people that are privileged enough to already know this, what we're only just cottoning on to. My goal here is to get you to reconsider person as a legal concept and introduce private person as the primary person of power in law. I am not a person. Is a person bad, really? Why is the system afraid of a private person? What do the dictionaries really say? What is law? What is the law built on? The living or the dead? Common law, CL abbreviated, versus Roman civil law, RCL abbreviated. Capitis and status. Capital Dominica. Roman civil law terms. Most have no concept of what it means. You get taught French and German at school though, don't you? Because that's important. Welcome to the Sovereign School. The phrase, it's spelled in all capital letters. It is not a spelling. When you talk about capitalisation, it is style. Spelling is which letter you choose, and style is how that letter is represented. So that's important. The phrase, it is spelled in all capital letters. It is not spelling. When you talk about capitalisation, it is a style. Spelling is which letter you choose, and style is how that letter is represented in a lower or upper case. The Deaf Society do not recognise the all caps as a language. Later on I've got more detailed information on that. So, when you're in court doing paperwork, corresponding, things like that, and you use the wrong style to describe something, names, then the lawyers and the courts, the judges, the robes, the court clerk get grey areas in which to start to play in. Changing the style and spelling are very, very important. Status versus capacity. Many people are confused about this and are not even aware of this. What you are relative to the game, we would call condition, versus what you can do in the game. Your status is your condition in law, what capacity you have and what you are in. Capacity is a derivative of status. See what I mean? This is why the game's so long. You cannot play the game without status. You need to be recognised correctly to play. To have standing, we would call it. A person at common or civil law. You either have standing in law or you are an outlaw. Your status usually defines your capacity. Roman civil law requires a status. Common law, everyone is sovereign. Cheers, the nation roars. Unless you declare your status outside of Roman civil law, you are presumed inside it, under its mandated authority. All law is fiction. Each type of law is a set of agreed rules, an agreed to set of rules by man, made by man, changeable, flexible, and grow over time, subject to change, to create a safe, healthy, societal structure. The rules are generally good. We are sat down at the game and assume the rules are one way, when they are in fact the complete opposite and codified and open to interpretation. That's massive again there. Civil and court rules are complex, but the concepts make sense. Lawyers and crooks twist the rules. Attorneys, look at attorney, that's massive in itself, and what an attorney does, the breakdown of the word attorney and who can be an attorney. They twist the rules as they are an interpretation, and they are sometimes over 1,000 pages of rule. They are depriving us of justice as the principles and processes are being manipulated and are not standardised. The more grey areas, the more confusion, the greater the need for the temple bar society. History of man as a person. God is no respecter of persons. Person is a mask. They create the person, so they own me. I'm a human being, not a person. Look at person, if you spell S-I-N, person. U-N-D-H-R, everyone entitled to be recognised as a person. My phone's blowing up, but you'll have to hold on, people, it's going to be some time. 1928, when a woman became a person, or women became persons, it was a landmark case in Canada. The Supreme Court, the Privy Council being the highest court in the UK, made the ruling that women are in fact or are to be included as persons in law. One day they were not persons in law. The next day they was. The only thing that changed was the legal construct surrounding that. Yeah, massive. See, I told you we source, reference and citate. We don't just jump into things. This is a massive amount of work. It's years and years of work. This is not word perfect, and it is open for discussion, debate, interpretation. Page 2 done. Page 3 onwards. Law used to be set by warrior kings taking over land. Game of Thrones, they're telling you and they're showing you on the TV. You've seen the history. And they was imposing their rules. Look at Genghis Khan and things like that. Empires, rules, battles, history, global history, Phoenicians, Sumerians. Now we have a divine rule under the monarchy, or the rule of the USA, where they've got the kind of, what we got there, the presidents and the Congress, and they are unimpeachable, apparently. We have built up, we know all about impeached and to be impeached as well, and what the benefits and pros and cons of that are. We have built up a society from being enslaved by military rulers to being enslaved by a monarch. Common law, trust law, admiralty law, there's loads more, Roman civil law are some of their legal systems and constructs. Stay away and stay in common law. Do not enter these domains. Remain on the land for as long as you possibly can. This is not the free man on the land concept. This is not lawful rebellion concept. This is not anybody else's concept other than people, men that are seeking the rule of law and are following under, as Romilly Stewart eloquently points out, the system and tier of the control and structure and order and spiritual alliance of which we see ourselves and we believe ourselves to be, in, and how this system and rules and consent work. So this is not the freeman of the land concept. This shit's been going on for ages, and as my man Jack Fresco says, thank you Matthew A for that, Mr. Allison, this shit's got to go, and it is going. The Persons case in 1929, Privy Council declared that women are indeed persons. It's referenced, it's all in the books, go and have a check it out. Know who you are. A man in common law equals a private person with rights and duties. That's why it says in the Human Rights Act that all that you are entitled to a person. I'll have to paraphrase. All men are entitled to a person. Everybody is entitled to a person. Person. Private person is a mask for the man. Is private person a creation of statute? It exists and it is recognised by the law, but I, David, cannot find any info that it was created by the society. It is in fact, in my opinion, some kind of vehicle to protect the rights for what the living natural man has. Government did not create us, we created it. They do not control us, we control them, and they have no say. Now, there's something I'm going to mention here that it's going to be, it's massive, but it's going to be inserted in because it's not written in. I did learn when I had a chat with Steve McRae and from watching Santos Bonacci and Walter Vaith that the Catholic Church have got involved with the government and agreed to pay, and we let them, and the government, it's about the debts and the honour and the live birth and stuff like that, but that insert there, Steve, Santos, Walter Vaith, and the affairs between the monarchy and the church and what's happened with that. Yeah, they're on about foreign citizen Sestu KV and debts on that point. So, private person is the foundation of all common law. Everything comes from the private person, and without it, we cannot enview the energy into the other creations. We are the power delegating the power down. Everything is about context, real world, plain English, or Anglo-English, as I like to call it. It is in fact Babel though, don't forget. Common law, civil law, all these are very different and exclusive applications. What's this? TBC, David of the Clan Jeremiah, 27th of December. Be sure not to mix your maxims. A private person, when of full capacity, usually at the age of 18, 19, 21, depending on what continent you're on and what legal construct you are, under, the law deems you to have the ability to demonstrate. So, when a private person, when of full capacity, usually at age 18, 19, 21, the law deems you to have the ability to demonstrate full knowledge, full responsibility, and full liability. That's when we interject and say the video that was shared with the seizure of the 10-year-old child from the flat. That's where we look at this here. We're on about that with what the law deems you to have and, capacity. You are deemed unfit to demonstrate these, then the establishment will take control power of attorney. Non-notarized affidavits have been submitted and at court, and as when you, the man and the private person, are there, you are able to express yourself in your own words. So I'm hearing that without being notarized, sworn affidavits have been taken to court unnotarized, and the robes have let them go in on the record. Jurisdiction is first a right, a power, or authority, law, speaking, primary foundation for everything. Claim, question, and deny consent to non-commercial law jurisdictions. They presume it. So if you specifically deny them, Admiralty jurisdiction, for example, they have the burden of proof. Do not admit or provide anything. Your whole case could rest on the validity of their claim and their standing. If you do not challenge it, it is presumed to be valid. That's massive. That in itself is it took a few months to get our heads around the processes, the CPR, but it's there. Symbols of power, Dean Greenway, do help me with that, Mr. Dean G. Fantastic mind. Symbols of power. Law of the flag indicates jurisdiction. Gold trim round the flag. What does that indicate? You go to these courts and start demanding your constitutional things and your inherent, you're not going to get that. And we know that now. There are clues, there are symbols. That's coming up in a bit. We have some structure, guys. So we've gone over the presumption there, the presumptions of law. They have the burden of proof. Symbols of power, the flag. Law of the flag indicates jurisdiction. The occult use symbols, know them, the defined meaning of them, and their messages. They communicate and advertise to those that can see and understand. I have given you notice. It's trickery. Occult sciences use symbols. Symbols are a language. They are found in documents, courtrooms, flags, websites, everywhere. Real versus fiction. The fiction courts are built on top of the real courts for them to be able to exist. Some elements of the courts are real, not fiction. A corporation cannot be created without a natural person. Common law, man, known as the private person, natural person versus private person. At Roman civil law, a man is referred to as a natural person. In international courts and The Hague, referred to as the natural person, as they are dealing with legal systems from all around the world. What are we on now? Page 3. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, page 4. The word by juro means two jurisdictions, and what they have done is said we have common law and civil law, and private person does not exist in Roman civil law, but a natural person can exist in common law. And as we are dealing with two jurisdictions and we have to communicate with both of them, let's use a terminology that the two can recognise. RCL, a top-down authority. They make the rules, write the code, and we have to obey them. CL, common law, is a people-up authority. They are the foundation of power, given by the people to officers in office to execute in a trust manner. The failure to do this where we need to focus and enforce action, mentioned on page 1. Words have been changed in acts and statutes to include natural person as opposed to private, in order to make the acts work legally in both of the jurisdictions. The terms private person and suet de droit prive are foreign to civil law, which uses the term personne physique instead, conveyed in most cases by natural person in English. If you are at common law, the common law definition of the word must then apply. That is what's happening in a lot of cases. Definition. A legal person is a group that has a legal existence and therefore has rights and obligations. In particular, it is granted its own assets and the capacity to take legal action or conclude contracts. Wow. Examples. I'm actually tingling as I'm reading you this. It's a long time coming. It's not my work. It's some of mine. It's other people's. YouTube. It's admins. It's you guys. The videos. It's the chirp here, there and everywhere. It's the constant revision. It's people like the man that's going to court in a couple of weeks testing stuff out for us willingly, knowingly, under full understanding, disclosure, knowledge, first-hand information. So, wow. Definition. A legal person. Examples. The state or local authorities are legal persons. The companies and associations declared are also legal persons, as are the works councils or the trusts, various trusts. On the other hand, not trust, CHSCTs. I forgot that abbreviation. CHSCTs. No, I can't show it you, but I'll get that in a bit. Too much going on. Or on the other hand, and in division, or a goodwill, or an economic and social unit, do not enjoy the legal personality. Differences with the physical person. The legal person must be distinguished from the natural person. The natural person refers to an individual, whereas the legal person is only a legal entity. You get that? The distinction has particular consequences in terms of penalties in the event of conviction. A legal person may, like a natural person, be fined. On the other hand, they cannot, of course, be sentenced to prison. State authority needs to be checked out to see whether they include person in the capacity of the corporation. Some previous notes there, we can disregard them. The copyright, trademark, crown symbol is a display of the corporation at hand. A lot of men say private person, never heard of it, and it doesn't exist. We can prove they in fact do, within legislation and documents and dictionaries. I am not a person. So which person are you in the bijaural world? Man was created in the image of God. Human was created in the image of government. Monster. I am not a human. I, man, am. I feel there is a change of tactics at hand right now. I feel also that there is a technical separation, disconnection with the natural person being charged with a statute case. The common law man who's before the court, it just can't happen. There are people locked up in prison for civil issues, not criminal issues. If it's like the reality meeting the fiction, you know, we're not. I don't need to elaborate on that. If you attend court and start to challenge the name that appears on the summons, you may and can be arrested for failure to appear and contempt of court whilst attending. If you attend court and start to challenge the name that appears on the summons, you may and can be arrested for failure to appear and contempt of court while attending. You are physically removed, and then the matter is brought before the court. An arrest warrant is served for failure to attend court. The summons demand that you attend court, and when you get to court, they want you to appear for the name on the information. There is a difference between appearing and attending. The transition from private person attending to court to becoming the liable artificial person. So we've got that. I'm repeating that bit there. Then I've got stuff about a non-commercial private inhabitant that was given from one of the admins, David R. Non-commercial private inhabitant, some corrections by Dean G back in the post some months ago now. But that's the beauty of SPLs. If we want to go back and find posts or literature or discussions, you use the search box, as I've said. You use keywords. I used person, Roman civil law, common law, and I brought up about 50 posts that we've done on that, and I had to find the one and just go back, you know. So even though we're very busy at the moment, the posts, if we remember what the topic is, we can always go back and search through the archives and then look at it, you know, retrospectively. So what have we got here? I've got one from also the White Rabbit channel, How to Deal and Do Business with Pirates. That's a good non-negotiable legal contract you need to look at. Non-commercial private inhabitant, David Jeremita. I, David, of the Jeremita family, agent and interested third party for David Jeremita, here, a legal fiction, present this affirmation as a declaration and statement of truth as evidence to the facts for and on the record. I do solemnly swear that the facts contained here are true, correct and certain. I reserve all rights and waive all privileges. Boom. My vessel, person, is not bonded for the corporate legal arena. The law of statutes is the law of contract, and we, as human beings, have the right to decline contract. Pow. Statutes do not apply. A statute is a legislative rule of society given the force of law by the consent of the governed. See Theresa May video. You are governed by the rule of consent. I do not give my consent, tacit or otherwise. We are all equal in law, however knowledge separates the governed from the masters. Welcome to Indigo and Sovereign Paralegals. Sovereign, private, private sovereign community. This is where we're heading into 2018. This is very important. You need to know this. I don't need to tell it you. I can't tell it you. We can't tell it you. You need to take your information, build your beliefs and get back to us and tell us. There are no oaths required. We are all equal in law. However, knowledge separates the governed from the masters. If we are all equal, do we not have the status of sovereigns and diplomats if we so choose? Question mark. I will not allow a plea in my absence. Liam, what did you bring up? The rights to audience. Look about the rights to audience. I will not allow a plea in my absence. Anyone entering a plea without my written permission will be considered the defendant and responsible for all costs. This document does not form part of a negotiable instrument. We cannot give to you We cannot give to anyone or anything any power or authority we do not have. My law is the Bible. If righteousness is made profitable, then corruption will prevail. Ex dolo malo non orito actio. Power. That's amazing. That just made me tingle again. Are you a person? Note part 6. Law. Human being, corporation or body regarded as having rights and duties. And remember, a hue man is a colour of man, not a man. Debtor and creditor and things like that. It's different but similar lines to this. 1. Is our government a corporation? Question mark. 2. Are you a citizen or corporate crew member? Question mark. 3. Your birth certificate. 2 names, 2 dates, 2 languages? Question mark. 4. Ancient Latin and the Chicago Manual of Style. 5. Uppercase text, the all caps glosser. The all caps United Kingdom Ltd is a slave ship for the legal idiots. Can we focus in on it? I can see roughly. Can't see my camera, this bottom bit. What a work of art this is. Has thee ever wondered why the surname and other important information is written using the all uppercase text? Put simply, you are using a legal name and this is fraud. See, the name is actually split. Is it fraud though? We've revised that. Is it fraud? We'll come back to that, because doing it not knowingly and wearing that persona, then it's non-disclosure and it's their system. Yeah, it's fraud, but it's not a fraudulent system. They've set it up and ignorance is no defence. It's a big mess actually, so welcome. See, the name is actually split up into separate entities, the Christian name and the surname. You register these names to the Crown Corporation Limited as their property by your birth certificate, which is given a bond number. Done a lot of exploration on that. Your physical value is used as collateral for these bonds, allowing the United Kingdom Limited to take out loans from private banks such as the Bank of England, which is owned by the House of Windsor as well, I believe, and profit Rothschild and Windsor involved in that, Bank of England. And profit is made by way of legal fines, acts and statutes, bills and taxation. Hence, money is no longer backed by gold or silver, but by our physical value or manpower, sweat equity. The United Kingdom Limited is a privately owned corporation ship. All corporations are considered ships, and they are governed under the law of the sea, known as maritime law. Maritime law. There is no real ship, but a document vessel, which in our case was a birth certificate, created by the doctor when he or she docked you. How many pages left? We're going to take a break because I need to put the heating on and I need toilet and stuff. This is it's going to be a while. How long we've been going? 43 minutes. I'll see your questions and comments. Thank you. We'll get back to that afterwards. It's going to be an epic video, so just hold tight. It's one of the most important videos and bits of information and things that you will ever be privy to hear for free, without any charge, with no adverts, with no ego, with no nothing. Just simple peace and love. Knowledge is power. Take notice. Whenever you encounter a legal document or a document vessel, you will notice that your surname, or sometimes all of your names, will be written in the uppercase text. This is no coincidence. All uppercase text is not defined or recognised in the Oxford Styles Manual, the governing book of the English language, meaning that although you may be able to read it as English, it is in fact not English. The all caps or glosser is also found in the Oxford Styles Manual under foreign languages, named Ancient Latin. The main place, well, we've looked at Hebrew as well and Latin, Gary Munro, wow. The main place this all uppercase text is found to be defined as language is when American Sign Language, ASL, a signing language used for the deaf, is written. ASL can be defined in the book The Chicago Manual of Style under Foreign Languages header, American Sign Language, Compound Signs 10.152 and glosses, glosses 10.147, thus defining this text as a foreign language. Oof, shudder. Further, going on to say that when written, it has no one-to-one correspondence with any other languages on the document. The all caps or gloss is also found in the Oxford Style Manual. And I've just said that, ancient Latin. I've double copied that. Putting two or more languages onto a legal document is known in law as glossa. Black's Law Dictionary defines glossa. It is a poisonous gloss which corrupts the essence of the text. Dogma, Latin and glossa we've got there. Boxes, capitals, underlines, in red. Meaning that by using a glossa in a document, they are trying to conceal or confuse the real facts. If you take a second to analyse any documents that are written within the legal realm, driving licence, passports, fines, speeding tickets, court orders or summons, but to name a few, you will rapidly realise that while most of the documents will be written in normal English, most of the important details are actually in this all uppercase language. Like we established earlier, the all uppercase text and the plain English text cannot be read as one text in a document. They have no jurisdiction over one another. You can only read one at a time. So you must read all of the English in one go and then go back to read all of the uppercase. Just a thought, our opinion. Serge, things coming back from you there. See what I mean? It's a lot of people who's put this together. I'm just a reader. Soon you will realise that virtually all court orders, speeding tickets and most other legal documents actually make no sense whatsoever. They only make sense when we make the assumption that it is, I don't know what page we're on here guys, what is that it is, I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, just read page, that's 5, just read page 6, so on page 7. It is all plain English and we read it as one. Once you take one away from the other, it renders the document useless. Seeing as the government is simply a private owned corporation, it can only impose fines and acts upon other corporations, and by tricking us to registering our names as a corporate entity, and then tricking us into thinking these names are physically us, it manages to get us to represent the corporately registered name and therefore bear the burden of its fines and policies. This is a crime known as personhood. Hand in hand with personhood comes a crimes, listen now, not offences and not complaints, but crimes against us, as barratry, which is knowingly bringing false claims into court. This is what police, politicians and judges are doing daily, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion. Discover the glossa and the birth bond, 2 name, 2 dates and 2 language fraud. And we've got a reference for you here, Ryan 432 Hertz videos, Facebook. I've got that for you if you want it. Now we're going on to something, wow, how many pages? 3 before we take a break. From Justinian Deception, YouTube, Kim Lawley. A lot of people sending me, is it Romney Stewart, Justinian Deception, is it White Rabbit? I forget now. We'll stick to this. Justinian Deception, some words. The concept of modern day slavery through split title, divide and conquer. Divide a man into 2 titles in order that the Jesuit Vatican control system can gain total control. Deception for corporate slavery. Babylon. Look into Babylon. Deception. In my day when I was a kid, the Rastafarian or the Rastas, they used to talk about Babylon all the time. BBC One made a film that's on YouTube you can watch with Chris Riff Jones and somebody else called Babylon. Watch it, search YouTube for Babylon, get the film, download it. It's even subtitled when the Rasta speak, because they try and translate it, the patois, but yeah, we forget easy. They bring out a new phone, a new TV series, you forget what you was doing. You're all too happy to go to a football match at any time of the year and fight each other. People setting fireworks off to 1 o'clock in the morning, scaring your dog, waking your children up. You open the door and go around to see your neighbour and give them both barrels and a round of FC UKs, but you won't fight the people that oppress and steal and, you know, change the mentality. Love thy neighbour. Sovereign private community. So, Justinian deception, artificial person, natural split, and title, where do you stand, are two such elements really the split of the one. 1,000 pages of writing can explain the difference between artificial person and the natural person, humans. But are there any pages that explain the difference in how the two entities stand in a practical sense? No. After reading all this information on the difference between the natural and artificial persons, what one are you? Because you can only be one or the other. The Adam and Eve code explains this clearly. Tree of life or tree of knowledge. Did Eden come with a choice of two ledgers? And what was Adam given the choice? Debtor or creditor? Question mark. But he was warned that one will join the ranks of the dead once you choose to eat the fruit of the tree, the house of knowledge. Hold the legal title ledger. This same split title is also explained in the New Contract, New Testament, where Christ is split into two entities on the cross. Cross over from the Old Testament to the New Testament by the Roman Holy Lance, power of Rome, splitting man into being blood and water. Split title, a trust arrangement, blood, law of the land, common law, water, law of the sea, maritime law. Do you see why they are two names now? There are two names now. Name and surname and birthing certificates being the credit ledger and the debtor ledger, and Christ's death on the crossover point from the old system to the new system. Was the remedy in order to save man from being the debtor in the new contract, New Testament, but only if such a man can read the signs and live by the code of Christ, in order that the Christ's name, your Christian name only, can save you from the dead world of private contract, military, maritime, Roman law, being the law of water. Wow. Merry Christmas. It's got a kind of a Christmas connotation through it. It's this time of year that we can bring this information out, and I need you to share this video. I need people to, men, souls, to understand, cognise, and work on this with me, with us, and get it out there. We've talked about Michael Jarrett. Michael Jarrett, this will be immeasurably useful and powerful. I'll put this into the David Icke, Exposing the Matrix of Lies. There's a good 220,000 people in that I can get to. It'll be put on the private domain on the homepage of spowspro.com. You can find a video introduction there, so I think I might replace the existing one with this. But what did I want to say going back onto that? That's just extra popped in my head. My full name is David. What's your full name? You're in your car. You're in your private mode of conveyance or your property. And there's an officer at the window and he's asking you your name. You're in the street. There's been a fracas, a breach of the public peace. You're required to give a statement of facts and evidence, you know. And they ask you your name. You're going to have to now interface with the system in some way. Your full name, please. My full name is David. No, it isn't. Yes, it is. My full name is David. I happen to have a middle name, and there is a family name attached to that name as well. I am not that name. I know what capacity and status I'm in. Would you like to see? I will refer you to my claim of right. That's it. Being interviewed. I will refer you to my claim of right. Simple, short answers. Documents to hand, filed, submitted, or to reference. all appropriately done, served, done in a private capacity, served on the people that are people that hold public office legally. And this bit's yet to be sorted out. So yeah, do you understand about the Christ? And if you take the Father's name in vain, I'm not a Christian faithed person, am I? I used to be. Here we are explaining how we see the interpretations and the tri-state in effect. That's 3. My little finger wanted to play. So what is the trick? In order to know how to stand in the correct standing on the flat earth of paper contracts, how do you stand as a natural person and not the artificial person? Did you like that, flat earthers? To get stuff in there for you. Is one a proper noun and the other a symbol, such as John Paul Smith and John Paul Smith? So John Paul Smith lowercase and John Paul Smith all capitalised. Many may assume this, but I don't think so. It is a bit more secret and complex. If there are 2 standings in relation to split title, there must be 2 relating ledgers, being the creditor ledger and the debtor ledger. One would assume. Don't assume, because you make an ass out of you and me. Choice is yours. If you comprehend and cognise the system of Christ, remember the person must have a proper name identified as a noun, and this is backed up by the Oxford Styles Manual. The name of the ledger, the name of the person is the account, and every account has the ledger. And if you are the holder of the ledger, and you and your dominion birthright become the trustee of the debt and the account person attached to it, the dirty trick is to attach the debtor ledger to the creditor name without the creditor ever comprehending what has happened. This is the deception in order to deceive the creditor and the beneficiary into settling his own accounts from his own blood, sweat and tears, death and misery, allowing the first debtor to escape his duty to settle the accounts of the creditor. So the natural person would be the original creditor and the artificial person is the debtor. So if I was the first trustee debtor being the Vatican that holds the legal titles of man, and I have agreed to settle the debts of the world for the creditor, natural person, then to deceive the creditor into paying his own debts would leave me as the first agreed debtor with no debt, but still enjoying the compensation fees for acting as the first debtor. And I, as the first debtor, being the Vatican, would become the richest corporation in the fucking world. And on the back of the deceived. Hang on, hasn't that already happened? Oh. I'm not happy about reading this. I'm not happy. It doesn't make me happy at all, but this is the facts of the matter. So, wow, we need to, you know what I mean? You need to stop that bit in itself. Needs to just be analysed. Thank you to everybody that's made that be able to be put down into a simple. That's not even simple either, but it is. It's simpler than what it is in the thousands of pages and the years and years and years and years and all the groups and all the messages and all the videos that we've got. So, what is the natural person and the artificial person? The sample, John Paul of the Smith heritage, and just what do they look like on paper? I assume that this may be an educated answer that you must research yourself. However, I present this interesting theory, so here it is. Notice this. Just by going by the facts in relation to what exists on your certificates of birth, there are 2 certificates issued from the state and even appearing on your baptismal certificate. Stephen Santos, Walter. Your Christian name is John Paul. The surname or the family name is no part of your proper full name. And on the certificate of birth, certificate of the birth of the Christian ledger on the registration date appears another name rendered as a proper noun, John Paul Smith, lowercase, but this name appears in the margin, identifying the Registrar General as the custodian, trustee, of the John Paul Smith proper noun name. See, it's all there for you to see. There they are. The natural person is John Paul and the artificial person is John Paul Smith. Notice, not John Paul and Smith, but John Paul and John Paul Smith, not Gautier. Sorry guys, I got a little bit emotional reading that because it is quite emotional. It's not, we don't take joy in this, and it's not nice. It scars us for life, and then we carry it about and we see you guys and not listening and wandering and getting mixed up and sent down and paying fines, forfeitures, fees, children, you know what I mean? It's down to the children. And what's happened with that video with that seizure, habeas corpus, everything like that. Notice the name is the proper noun, but the ledger of the name is the glossa, or all caps. Dog, dead dog, Latin, foreign, debtor, text, language. I don't care about pages anymore. We'll catch up in a bit. Last page, and then we can have a review, and then we've got another bit. The ledgers, being a tombstone, being the accounts of the dead. Also take notice, this is the written language of the natural person, and this is the foreign dog Latin, and then it goes capital, and this is the foreign dog Latin written language of the artificial person, being a holder, trustee of the dead ledger. It also appears as the written language of the UN and the EU and the UNIDROIT members of the Treaty of Rome, Roman Empire. This hyphenated text is proper Latin sign, language of the Vatican. How the ledgers appear. This ledger of John Paul, I'm going to have to put this up for you to see because you need to look at this with reference on it. So what I'm reading, you can get an idea. My light's in the way, is this bit at the top, and it's giving you examples of the format, you know what I mean, style, spelling, everything. So also notice this, remember the Latin rules. John and Paul, when appearing in sign language based on Latin grammar, must have hyphens between the signs in order to join the signs to form a sentence. Check Chicago Manual of Styles, Article 11, semicolon 147, 16th edition, in order to make the proper name John capital dash Paul capital, but that is not important in this matter. The ledger of John Paul Smith is Smith, capital in brackets, being the ledger birthed on the born date, but what the state, capital, is trying to do is to get you to assume the attachment of the Smith, capital in brackets, ledger to your Christian name, lowercase John Paul in brackets, and every time you see the name in brackets John Paul lowercase followed by Smith capitals in brackets, the state in capitals has deceived you into slavery. Capitals, capital city, capital, look what that word means. Your consent, in brackets, has been gained by your own ignorance of the very written text used on the contracts, agreements you ignorantly agreed to sign. The true trustee of Smith capitals is the state-owned name, John Paul Smith, lowercase, in brackets, not the Christian name, lowercase John Paul in brackets. The state has posted its ledger to your one and only true Christian name. And if you cannot read the sign and you don't know your own name, you've become the trustee of your own dominion, and you are no longer the equitable holder, Serge, Richard, Dean, Liam, everybody, Warren, I believe, of your own dominion and your own birthright. The trustee deceived it from you under the old Roman maxim, let those who will be deceived be deceived. It seems like a joke at first, but in reality, this is how the corporate state assumes the right to murder its own people. This is how the corporate state assumes the right to murder its own people, because such people gave their consent to be the property and chattels of the state without knowing the danger of what they were being deceived into consenting to. Your parents at the GRO office to start with this, yeah? If you hold any account or bank card or license with your name appearing rendered in all the uppercase, grammatically corrupt and foreign to English text, known as Dog Latin, text of Rome, Unidroit, Treaty Rome Empire, you are no longer free. You have become attached to the foreign Roman administration accounting system of the Roman Empire, being all the nations that have signed the Unidroit Treaty of Rome, USA in 1964, Australia in 1973, etc. You are attached to the property of Rome, the Antichrist. You are legally dead. You are void of the ability to direct your dominion in relation to your own birthright given to you by true Christ. The fact that you hold such an account rendered in a foreign text language of Rome is the evidence that they need to assume that you have consented to be the dead slave ledger holder of the Vatican and its debtor, the Roman Empire. The next time you claim that you are free, check your driver license and your name, and if any part of your name or address appears in Dog Latin and in all uppercase text, you will now understand why the police, the bankers, the courts, and your assumed representatives from government are laughing at you and ignoring you as you do petitions and you speak out about your anger and upset. You are nothing but their Unidroit goon dog slave, capitalised. Under your own application of consent in relation to whatever state account you applied to hold, such as a state driver licence. We're taking a break. Sorry to get hostile with you. That's not me. You can tell that isn't all my writing, and that's some different angles and interpretations there. So what we're going to do is let David make a brew. We're going to review some of your comments, and that's going to be massive. Happy New Year, Docker Dawson, Andy Sov, we've done all that. Ricky Smith, hello. Dodgy Doctors, yes, how you doing, brother? Hi, guys. David, Happy New Year. Jesus Jones is not hungover. Don't celebrate New Year. It's two of us then. Shame I can't stay watching. Need to go out. Catch up later with a pen and paper. You will need to, Ricky. Happy New Year, brother. Let's hope it's a good one. From Yardley. Wisdom is greater than knowledge. Wisdom is having the capability and knowing of when to use that knowledge, I would argue there. They go cap in hand, yes. Happy New Year, mate. Keep up the good work. Who's this? Andrew Wilcox. Tin Man. Hi, mate. At last I got you live. I hope my laptop is up to this. Not looking good so far. All right. Jesus Jones, kick it. Docker, Employment Rights Act. Brilliant. Nice one, Docker. Yeah, that's good. I'm not going to go through that because it's massive. Andy, to suffer is to allow. Brilliant. Let's use my other hand because Docker, revoke your right to vote like I have in writing in ink telling them don't consent to you governing. Yep, claim a right would sort that out. Jesus, what are you saying is when we sign to consent to be ruled over by the corporation, the documents will be sent to you via email. You want any of this that I'm reading out? Email contact@sovereignparalegals.uk. You'll get them. Signature is debt of misery. Man's word is honour. I like it. True. Or maybe that's just me. Andy Sov. Jesus, no, it's true. Docker, that's a deception. You have been made the sole corporation of court. Yeah, it's a lot of information there. Look at that, an hour and a bit worth of chat, constant reading and sticking to it. You've got a lot there to go with. Andy Sov, yeah, Docker, the grantor and the beneficiary of your private. I've just explained it to you there. You need to take that information and compare it to your own beliefs and then get back to us or me and the group. When going to court over contracts, we enter a de facto court to sort it out. If a man doesn't honour his word, then a de jure court could be used. Yeah, look at the court de jure, de facto, status, his capacity. It's all there for you. We've done this a lot now. It's all in the 2 years worth of videos. I require a court of record, does Andy Sov, indeed. Which is the all caps legal fiction, Docker, which is created for my birth. I own all the equity in that name, so I am. It's not your name. It's a copy of your name. You are the sole shareholder because you hold Wido, because you hold the title deed document, don't you? of a copy of the ledger in the book. You know about the foreign sitters with the live birth and the Sestu KV 1666, the three of them, 15, 16 and 17 revisions birth certificate. This is why we live in hell as Satan. Lucifer rules over us from the Vatican. Bang on, Jonesy. Andy Sov, persons live in hell. Man is born for remedy. As the Human Rights Act tells you, you're entitled to a person. There's a reason. It's similar to the HJR 192 USA remedy, in my opinion. You can create the monies through the trust name because we are given money to play in Satan world or hell. Satan, yeah. Docker, so I am able to assert my own administrator for my own corporation, so therefore I would obviously appoint myself. Now that leaves one position in the trust, which is trustee, which is the gov position. Cha-ching, penny drops for the first. You're doing well there. Persons live in hell. Jesus, I agree. I live in heaven as the human, as do we want to live. I live in here under the dome. What's there? It's under the dome. We're trapped in that. God is not the respecter of persons. The Bible say all persons are sinners, per sin, yep. Signature, sin of nature. Andy Sov, human is monster, boom. God is Satan. No God exists. That is what sacred scared us. We go to hell if we don't respect churches. We go to church, suppress the ley lines on the planet. Ah, bang on, you clever lad. Jesus, I agree. Docker, Andy Sov, I am not religious. No, you are a spiritual man, I believe, brother. Jesus, I am when dealing with the system. Yeah, you see, I'm not a Christian follower, believer, but you need to know this because that's how the system's been arranged and that's how they've coded it, worded it. And yeah, it's interpretation, belief system. Person is registered under the mental health of subject of that persons cannot speak. I've just told you I think personism, where to go and what to do, and that's not just me, that's a lot of clever brains, a lot of... I'd take that and go with it for the time being and compare to your own beliefs. Legal fiction cannot speak. Legal fiction cannot speak. What have you put under that? The legal fiction is the one what is registered under the mental health. But I have established our role is that we are the administrators of our own trust. To my understanding, I presume the P.S.C that I hold, I am the beneficiary. Yep, go and research what we've done, the trust and equity, but Ansar doesn't talk about the birth certificate, the Sestu KV, the foreign status. It's trust, equity, law principles only. So you'd need to go to Romley Stewart, you need to go to Walter Vaith, you need to go to Santos Bonacci, you need to go to Steve McRae, and somebody else I've left out there, Ken somebody else, New Zealand, Bill Turner, New Zealand. There's loads really, the fishbowl, goldfish bowl reports. Maritime law, Jonesy. Dawson, yeah, got you. David, does anyone here know what person is? You do now, David. Boom, if you don't, then you need to rewind. I'm in American law, the judges don't have to be under office to rule over someone. As soon as you enter a courthouse, you have entered into the hell. Yeah, well, we are international as information agents, as shepherds and things like that. So we are in the Facebook domain able to compare and contrast the citizens and how you have, what capacity and what's happening there with regards to pledging allegiance and citizenship of America and your codes and rulings and governments there and the comparison to the UK. Docker, got you. Jesus. Before we had no choice because we didn't understand. Now we do. Yes, Jonesy, you can cognise, you can comprehend, you can assimilate, and you can stand back and you can separate and you can remove the legal fiction, the assumed public liability. It's about the assumptions of law. Legal entity is an entry like the birth certificate. It's a ledger in a book, yeah. The world we live in today is dealt with in commerce and dead entities. What is entry? Entry, what is entry? Be specific. David, my spider senses are tingling with you. Well done. I like that. A nice quote from Stan Lee. Spider-Man. David, it's okay if you don't know what is entry. Entry, peaceful entry into a ledger of a book, entry, the legal definition, the Oxford definition. I can paraphrase it in whatever terminology you're speaking it in, is it the Oxford concise, is it an entry? an entrance to a property. You know, come on. Entry is to record. Welcome to the real world. In a stand, yep. I'm not equal. What is entry? We are equal in common law. My apologies, I missed your comment, Andy. We are equal in God's eye. Jesus Jones, no, we aren't. God, I is Satan or Lucifer. Ah, la la la. Ah, interpretations and beliefs, and yeah, we'll chat about that. God doesn't exist, only Satan of this world. No, because we're in a duality, and it's impossible to have one without the other. So you need to look at the sciences behind that. If you have one, there is the other. If there isn't one, there can't be the other. It's what is person, what is corporation, what is legal fiction entry. So therefore, person is record. Yeah, stop using dogma to explain us. There is no God. This is not how the universe works. Wow. I will not trade souls. They will not trade souls with birth certificates. Yeah. I need care support, so how to get offer when no, by signing paperwork, I'm controlled. There's statute laws, separation of the entities. I've just explained. Free okay, that's going to be excellent and useful for you. You will need to make notes. You'll need to get a pen and rewind this video. I studied canon laws too. You're right. You're reading. Get ready, free okay, for canon law. That's coming in part 2. Doc, you, hilarious Jonesy. So, is that an order or request? If you give me an order, you'll get a bill. What is person? What is corporation? What is legal fiction? Entry. So therefore, person is record. This is what you say, Jesus. Okay, like an order is controlled order. If sign off state paperwork. Okay, Jonesy, on board with you already. Get the book. Oh, nicely. Get the books of Common Law of Obligations, the Chicago Manual of Style, Oxford Dictionary, and the Holy Bible. Live free from this corporation. Well done. Sov, laughing. Okay, I got Black's Law 5th, studied 4 years, lots disabled, no family to support me in private. I'm in state system now, but we're going to have to get you out, okay? Get a channel, mate. You'll have to check your channel. We get some videos made. Start documenting and publicly declaring things like I do and have. And show your intent, show your, that you believe, you stand on it. You make a public declaration, you record it, you stand on it. It's there for reference. Get your paperwork in order. Start assuming no public liability, using the instrumentations. It's all for you to decide. If it's okay if you don't know the answer, Jesus, but this is the conclusion we have reached. What is person? What is corporation? What is legal fiction? What is entry? So therefore, person is record. FY, you're right with Glosser, my man. Docker, David, love and peace, Jesus, Jones. English is not uppercase language. And we've just told you what it is and where to find out the ruling and the guidelines. So you are telling me and others that the person is record correct. Person, persona, actor, getting so. Jonesy, this is the poison in the text. Uppercase is poison, boxes, uppercase, capital, underlines, different coloured ink. Has to be as virgin, can't take me to court. No, we don't advise you going to court. I've said what that is there, our belief system and what's going on. Jesus, you have a lot of learning to do. Koala Bear, you're new, where have you come from? Jesus Jones, it's legal fiction, all uppercase. Hello though, and let's see what's going on. Where are you? Andy Sov, yep, fiction, business, corporation. Jesus, Jesuits is a military organisation. Well, yes, Andy, how can person become actor? Jesus says person is record. How is it possible for record to act? Record equals appearance, record. David is a big time dark glasses from the Matrix. Ignore it. Me acting in persona. 2 agents have entered. David is a word. Yep. Andy, what is appearance? Love thy neighbour. Educated agent is a neighbour. Do your homework, David, same as me, in order to stand under your notions. I am doing. This is it. It's being revealed now. If it's also okay if you don't comprehend, I do know. David, your name is a word. Etymology, David, go look. Yep, I know. I've done a session on that. What were you saying here in relation to things that were going back previously? Fair enough. Why are you here? I don't understand. Trying to listen. Oh, you're having a chat with yourselves. All lawyers and the judges, all police, all the politicians are just taking the piss out the poison public with the water chloride, which has been created by the elite. get water filter now. Yeah, I'll buy it from supermarkets, quite cheap. 2, 4, 6, 12 litres, couple of quid. Cranberry juice for cows. Stop it, you're diverting, Koala Bear. We're not talking about that, we're talking about law, person, Roman, civil. This is a serious Christmas legal, lawful analysis and information. Andy, so appearance is visible form according to etymology. David, is that correct? Being obtuse now. I think we have a lawyer in here. Wise men shall make wise choices. You have an opinion. Blah, blah, blah. Message retracted. Born with free will to do no wrong. Yeah. Just click. The planet has been copied. So we have to live in a copy of human in the corporation that was created over so-called time. That's one way of looking at it. Andy Sobs laughing. Brilliant. Why documents have to be copied. One is real, one is not. The planet we are living on is not real. It was copied. Copy, click, copy, paste. So everything has to be copied. Edinburgh. Thank you, Koala. So, what do we do? David's going to make a drink. You get me your questions and comments and feedback from that initial session. We've got part 2 to do. There's a good 8 pages. Then we're going to wrap this up. What are you doing today? Who's hungover? Who went to a party yesterday? How are you feeling? Aye, aye, aye. Put the heating on. Where can you go? There. Chill. I am tempted to stop the video and start again, but I'd like it to be all in one. I'd like us to go on this journey together. It's a mammoth journey. It's a few hundred years old. It's taken us a long while to cognise this information, this data. It's very, very important. It's probably one of the most important video logs that I'm doing ever. It is not word perfect. It is open for your interpretation. You are able to get copies of this text sent to you through the email. This is very powerful. It is not to be used lightly. It is not to be used at all if you do not cognise what's going on. That's why we've got the forums for you. That's why we've got the rest of the videos for you to hook up to. We are here as always. At Christmas time I'm getting a hell of a lot of communication. People are still texting the other internet phone. We're still getting emails. I know people need help and I know people need assistance. Stand alone. I'm coming back to you soon. Dodgy doctors. We've put you in the Facebook group now, so you must appreciate I've got to have the balance. I need to have the support and help of the group. It isn't all on me. I bear no responsibility for anybody outside of my private family. You know, I have responsibility for the words that I say, the actions that I make, and that's as far as it goes with the, you know. But I am sad about what's happening. I nearly had a little cry then, if you notice, when I was reading that out, because it's very painful to me. I have children on this planet. I have been a good slave, employee, you know, I've conformed, I've gone to court previously, I've paid fines, forfeits, I've been deemed guilty unlawfully, I've had the children issue, I don't know where they are, I've been estranged by my government and suffered harm, injury and loss at the hands of the state. Through this is where I'm getting to. You're going to see me launching a case, taking these fuckers, pardon the French, I'm sorry, but it is an emotional issue. I do need a swear box, I think, for times like this, but we are going to take, and like I've said, this isn't just for fun. This is a big serious mission and it needs to be done articulately, concisely, maybe as a class action on some of the fronts, and we need to escalate the issues that we were seeing with regards to the power of attorney, forced adoption, the assumptions and presumptions are where they've got us. So this is the powerful bit. Your claim of right and your statutory declarations and things are going to come in very handy. I sent one off to Theresa May in November or early 16 and I did it wrong, and I was worried I'd done it in black ink, but it doesn't matter what ink you do it in. We go in like this all the time over the years and we're not getting anywhere. So this video release publication for all with an open license is going to set the parameters of how we're going to try and go forward with it. Once we've got the private domain, we will have the full capacity and the full protection of that domain and of ourselves. We do not need to register and go to the state for this. We have the capacity to do this in our private capacity, as long as we are responsible for our actions and we cause no harm, injury and fraud. So it is epic. We are shepherding the people, the men, the people to become men. They are the walking dead at the minute, and they are slowly realising they can actually claim dominionship and sort most of the problems out affecting their immediate life with this relevant paperwork, declarations and actions. If you don't want to do this, you don't have to do it. It's not what I'm telling you, it's just a product of our work and research and what we'd like to share and put into the public domain. There is no profit from this. I've shut down the donation account for 2017. There will be another one made for 2018 for anybody who would like to consider being a benefactor, sponsorship, karma free, you know, association and stuff like that. We do need to utilise what we've got going. We do need to strengthen. We do need funds, unfortunately, to do things. I spoke to Thomas Hogg yesterday. We're moving on with the red trailer, articulated trailer, thinking about a sovereign solstice, summertime, yeah, people. So we've got access to private fields, a lot of acres. It's in Oxford, I believe, or around the Oxford area. Thomas Hogg put some comments. If you catch this video, I know he was working at, today in servitude. So we've got a trailer, we've got HHO technology, we've got a lot of free and cheap and clean energy to bring to you. We've got the option of having the generators and speakers and sovereign solstice in in that trailer, in a field, generators, food, things like that on hand, full professional setup. We're thinking about getting a guy called Harry Shotter. That's right, I'm telling you now. Our life is so mad, so insane and random. Thomas Hogg has said that someone in his family is connected via a relationship to possibly Harry Shotter's producer. I'm remembering the name of Kid Chaos or Kid whatever it is. If we can get some of the K Reno, English Frank, Loki, Logic, not the Logic that's on Radio 1, the other one, working our way up to people like Akala wanting to come and do festivals and promote and put their, their fees and, monetary value to one side. If you are anybody anywhere, there's a lot of viewers on this channel in the UK, yeah, we'll say UK, we know what that means, and you've got any musical connections, then hear it from me now, declared of this day. We're going to do a sovereign solstice. We're going to do it in a private field. We're going to be out of the hands of legislation and of mandated statute. We're going to inform, and we're going to do this in a way that it won't get shut down and lead to arrests and bad publicity. Once we've got that and we've notified the authorities what we're going to be doing and when and how many, then we'll be providing hydrogen technology, we'll be providing law, we'll be providing a common unity, we'll be providing a family spirit. We'll be doing it around the Oxford area, and it will be a small donation for it, but there's enough crappy festivals and downloads and this, that, the other, and V festivals and whatever else. So let's have a sovereign festival and let's start doing it as we mean to go along. Things get presented in our paths for a reason. We don't really do much planning. We are very much reactive. We plan our courts and private affairs, but with regards to the sovereign paralegals or private, the private community, sovereigns, private sovereigns, sovereigns private community, then this is how we're going to go forward. So that is epic. We not only have we got an articulated trailer that's got a panel, the full wall 30 foot comes down on hydraulics to make a nice stage. Blessings and thanks coming out the woodwork. Not that you're animals, but just people are coming out of everywhere with so much to offer and so much intent and kindness and willing, and it's not only is it a trailer, there's fields, it's in the roundabout middle-ish area of the country. We'll do this all for non-for-profit. We'll set up the funds again. I'll put the domain up in the next few days. That'll go live. And yeah, just bear in mind that we're very busy. I'm required to be in servitude. I'm going to try and set up and go self-employed this year. It's looking very good. We do need help with the website. That's going to be done in the next 48, 72 hours. And then I think all the jobs are jobbed. I've got a solicitors on hold. I've been doing a PCN issued by our brother Jack and the Woodhead family. December 2016 it was issued. It's gone from Vehicle Control Services of Sheffield to Debt Recovery Plus, and from Debt Recovery Plus it's gone to LBW, I think it is. Matt Melly, if you're watching, I need to talk to you. I've just remembered LBS, LBW. Solicitors and Leeds have got it. They've had a non-negotiable offer of contract from me with regards to my client and me having power of attorney. They are still emailing or writing to the client after expressly being told not to by VCS, by me to VCS, Debt Recovery Plus. They're ignoring everything. They know he's a business owner. They know that he's got business vehicles. They know he's not the driver. There's no law that says he's got to give the name of the driver. He's running a business. He's asked for a small fee. They've refused an offer of contract. It's just a big horrible mess. But take it from me, they have emailed the client saying they would like my details, personal address details, to correspond with me after I have rang up, recorded the call, give them email, contacted them via email, give them an allotted time, and unfortunately, because of the procedure rules, they're out of the allotted time and they are in dishonour, and they're still going to attempt to enforce this. So I'm having a world of fun with a 12-month going on to 13-month privately issued parking charge notification. We do seem to find that the privately issued charge notifications are a lot harder to deal with than the council ones for various reasons, because we can kill them dead, so to speak, as quote Mr. Brother Steve McRae. You can kill them dead quick with certain ways and management techniques that we know of now. So just bear with me. That's very exciting. A year, 13 months in, privately issued PCN, and it's about to be shut down. So once we've done that, I will outline all the correspondence procedure. Once I've told you that it works and we've got the letter of confirmation, then happy days. But be very careful when you are challenging these, because like we say, you need to know everything and stand on it and believe it. You don't just copy what your mate's done, because if you get questions on any of it and you don't know the answer, you can fall down and it's game over. So bear with me. I need to give you some musical interlude while we go to take a break, everybody. Then we can have another interlude. The rest of the video's coming. In fact, we'll pause it, come back, we're stopping the transmission, finished it, and we're going to have another bit soon. All right, so peace and love. Thank you very much for all your comments, interaction. I'm coming back in 10. Here we go, Docker, on about colours and letters and that. I would say definitely not. It doesn't matter about the colour. It does in canon and ecclesiastical, I believe, but we're not talking about that yet, but it's coming up in part 2. Doobie, shut up, doobie doo. Lols, man is only a slave. God, I love you guys. I need a wee. Me too. Too much coffee. Right, so epic first part. Damn it, I didn't want to do 2 parts, but here we go. That's live. See you in a bit. Peace and love. Ciao for now. Thank you.